After Biggie's mom passed away, the woman who had been guarding his empire for almost 30 years, people thought the story was over.
The mother of the late great rapper Notorious B.I.G. is being mourned tonight. Violetta Wallace died this morning at her home in Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania.
But now hidden inside Biggie's own mansion, a vault was found. And not just any vault. This one is rumored to hold private things that could change the entire story of who really controlled his legacy.
It is a bank vault. It has like a bank vault's door. It's really, really thick.
It may be almost the size of this room, maybe not quite as large, but I mean, and all it is just shelves.
It was like a funnel. It was as if somebody was pouring these songs into him, and they would just continue to come out the other end like a water spigot that wouldn't turn off.
Biggie was killed in 1997, and for decades, almost everything he left behind was kept under lock and key. Now, with Valletta gone, a huge entertainment company has swooped in and bought a massive chunk of his estate. But why now? And what's inside that vault that someone kept buried for nearly 3 decades? Inside Biggie's secret vault. When Violetta Wallace died on February 21, 2025, the hip-hop world lost more than just the Notorious B.I.G.'s mother. It lost the woman who had single-handedly protected his empire for nearly 3 decades. After his son passed away, she had fought legal wars that would have broken lesser spirits and achieved what many thought impossible. She owned 100% of Biggie's publishing rights. Every tribute, every documentary proposal crossed her desk first. Nothing moved without Valletta's signature. Wayne Barrow and Mark Pitts were longtime associates and co-managers of Biggie. They continued their roles and helped protect the estate alongside Valletta. Everyone knew that Biggie's children, Christopher C.J. Wallace Jr. and Tiana Wallace, would eventually inherit their father's crown. It was supposed to be clean, predictable, and drama-free. Everything the music industry typically isn't. Then came a discovery that changed everything: the discovery of the vault. During a routine estate audit at Biggie's Brooklyn mansion, contractors made a find that shocked the entire industry. While preparing the home for asset cataloging, a reinforced steel door was found that led to a climate-controlled vault. This wasn't some forgotten storage closet or makeshift archive. The facility featured heavy-duty shelving, professional-grade security, and the kind of environmental controls typically reserved for museum collections or bank repositories. The timing couldn't have been more suspicious. Within days of Valletta's passing away, one of the music industry's most aggressive acquisition companies, Primary Wave, announced that it had purchased a 50% controlling stake in Biggie's estate. Primary Wave now controls his recordings, publishing, image rights, and crucially, the legal authority to create AI recreations and holographic performances of the late rapper. Primary Wave's playbook was well established this year. They had acquired the catalogs of Whitney Houston, Stevie Nicks, Bob Marley, and Luther Vandross. And after signing the contracts, they have transformed these legends into multimedia brands that generated revenue streams the original artists never could have imagined. Their approach was methodical and clever. They purchased the rights, flooded streaming platforms with remastered content, developed documentaries and biopics, and created brand partnerships. So, in a way, they are preserving their legacy. The sudden sale raised some serious suspicion, though. Why would control of Biggie's estate change hands so quickly after Valletta passed away? Had Primary Wave been circling the estate for months, waiting for the right moment to strike? And then they found the vault. Clues that could rewrite his legacy. Industry insiders claim that the vault contained more than 40 unreleased tracks, which is enough material for multiple posthumous albums. But the real intrigue lay in what wasn't there. Several hard drives were missing entirely, and others had been subjected to military-grade data erasure, the kind of secure deletion that ensures no forensic recovery is possible. For an artist whose unreleased material could be worth tens of millions, this was deeply suspicious. While the news of the vault discovery went viral, auditors made another find that could prove even more explosive. Inside a locked safe in the mansion's study, they found an envelope bearing Biggie's full legal name: Christopher George Latore Wallace. Turns out it was his will that no one in the current estate structure had seen in years. This document allegedly transferred control of Biggie's assets directly to his children upon Valletta's passing, effectively cutting out several individuals who had been managing his legacy for decades. But there was a problem. The will had never been filed in probate court, raising questions about its legal validity and authenticity. Handwriting analysis conducted on photographs suggested possible alterations or additions, while the dates referenced in the document didn't align perfectly with known events in Biggie's life during that period. The discovery shocked the estate's management structure. If legitimate, this will could invalidate years of business decisions and revenue distributions. It raised the possibility that some individuals had been operating without proper legal authority, potentially exposing them to significant financial liability. The audit uncovered additional troubling details. Paper trails led to offshore accounts registered in jurisdictions known for banking secrecy, some connected to posthumous releases like Born Again in 1999 and Duets: The Final Chapter in 2005. While offshore financial structures are not inherently illegal, the complexity of these arrangements raised questions about whether all revenue had properly reached Biggie's legal heirs. Perhaps most surprisingly, sources close to the estate revealed that they also found a sealed box alongside the unreleased music. Rumors suggest it contains a handwritten list of individuals Biggie specifically doesn't want involved in his business affairs after he passed away. It is a kind of musical enemies list that will expose decades-old grudges and business conflicts. The box remains under security, with only a handful of people knowing its true contents. However, Primary Wave has not confirmed any of these rumors. Publicly, they present this as a standard clean business deal, but behind closed doors, the story feels a lot more complicated, and the fights over Biggie's fortune are just getting started. So, who else is fighting for control over his fortune? The war over Biggie's fortune. You see, the $100 million bombshell had been ticking like a time bomb for months before anyone realized what Voletta Wallace had really done. In what she proudly called her transformative final act, she had sold half of her son's empire to Primary Wave. It was one of the most audacious legacy deals in hip-hop history. It catapulted Biggie's estate into the same financial stratosphere as Bob Dylan and the Beatles. But Voletta had kept the other half locked away in an LLC that controlled the real crown jewels, the ongoing revenue streams that would mint money for decades. She did it to preserve wealth for Tiana and C.J. Wallace, yes, but also to fund the Christopher Wallace Memorial Foundation and ensure her son's philanthropic legacy lived on. The problem was that in all her careful planning, Voletta had made one huge oversight. She never left clear instructions about what would happen to that empire when she was gone. The moment news of Voletta's passing away hit the industry, Faith Evans, the Grammy-winning R&B star who had remained legally married to Biggie despite their separation, suddenly found herself holding the keys to a multi-million-dollar kingdom she had never expected to inherit. Overnight, the woman who had built her own successful career found herself commanding more financial power through her late husband's estate than her own decades of hit records had ever generated. The legal technicality that made this possible was almost absurd. Faith had never divorced Biggie before his 1997 incident, which meant that in the cold mathematics of estate law, she retained spousal rights. This trumped nearly every other claim to his legacy. She could now decide which songs got licensed for blockbuster films, how his image appeared in global advertising campaigns, and most importantly, she controlled the flow of money from that massive Primary Wave windfall. For someone who had spent years watching from the sidelines as Voletta managed every detail, Faith's sudden elevation to hip-hop royalty must have felt both surreal and inevitable. She went from being the ex-wife to being the CEO. Wayne Barrow had other ideas about who should be running the show. As Biggie's former co-manager and Voletta's most trusted lieutenant, he had spent nearly 3 decades helping build the empire that Faith now controlled with the stroke of a pen. So, he marched into Delaware's Court of Chancery in July 2025 with his petition. Barrow claimed Faith was systematically looting the estate. He said that she was withholding proceeds from the Primary Wave sale that rightfully belonged to Voletta's trust. According to his explosive filing, Faith has allegedly diverted millions to Tiana, CJ, and presumably herself, while leaving the trust completely empty-handed. According to him, she is erasing Voletta's carefully constructed legacy plans. The allegations grew even more damaging. Barrow accused Faith of refusing to acknowledge the trust as a legitimate 50% partner in the LLC, effectively staging a corporate coup that locked him out of every major decision. The man who had helped navigate Biggie's estate through decades of legal challenges suddenly found himself entirely in the dark about all the business deals and revenue streams he had spent his career protecting. Barrow's demands revealed the true scope of his counter-revolution. His petition demanded that the court force Faith to surrender the allegedly stolen money, strip her of management control, install him as the new emperor of Biggie's kingdom, ensure the trust operated as a full 50% partner, and redirect proceeds toward the Christopher Wallace Memorial Foundation. If successful, Faith would once again be forced to watch from the sidelines as someone else shaped her late husband's legacy. Faith has remained silent about these nuclear accusations. While her legal team is working to craft what promises to be a fierce defense, her supporters rally around the argument that she is Biggie's widow, and the law is on her side. When Biggie passed away without a will in 1997, the legal system had automatically placed his assets under her control. She had shared this position voluntarily with Valletta and their children out of love and respect, not legal obligation. Some observers speculated that Faith viewed Valletta's primary wave sale as a unilateral decision made without her input, making any claims from Valletta's trust legally questionable at best. After all, Faith had been quietly accumulating wealth from Biggie's estate for years. The deeper mystery that turned this legal battle into industry obsession was why Valletta had chosen to sell to Primary Wave at all. With Biggie's streaming numbers consistently ranking among rap's elite and his cultural influence stronger than ever, she could have maintained total family control indefinitely. Some insiders believed she recognized Primary Wave's ability to keep late artists relevant across streaming platforms, film soundtracks, and brand partnerships that independent management could never match. Others suspected she wanted the security of a guaranteed lump sum while she was still alive to oversee the transition and protect her family from the kind of estate battles that had destroyed other musical legacies. Whatever her motivations, that decision had created the perfect storm. Instead of the unity Valletta had probably envisioned, the sale had caused paranoia, legal warfare, and a fractured inner circle. This is now threatening to destroy everything she had spent decades building. The public reaction revealed just how emotionally invested fans remained in Biggie's legacy nearly 3 decades after he passed away. Team Faith supporters argue that, as his widow and mother of one of his children, she represents the natural evolution of estate leadership after Valletta's passing. Team Barrow insists that Valletta's trust embodies her voice and vision for how her son's legacy should be managed, not just Faith's personal interests or financial priorities. As the case moved through Delaware's Chancery Court, both sides are preparing for a war that will determine not just financial control, but the very soul of how Biggie's name and music will be used for generations to come. Who do you think is the rightful owner of his estate? Tell us your thoughts in the comments below. Before you go, make sure to subscribe to our channel for more updates. Goodbye for now.